Site for Wight Talking News for Friday the 23rd of October 2020.
Alison reading an article from the Isle of Wight County Press. Plans revealed to bring e-scooter trial to the Isle of Wight. E-scooters could be on their way to the Isle of Wight next month as part of a trial being considered across the Solent area. The Isle of Wight Council, Solent Transport and British micro-mobility provider Beryl are co-developing plans for an e-scooter pilot programme on the island. If confirmed, this will be part of a national trial sponsored by the Department for Transport, being delivered through Solent Transport's Future Transport Zone programme. If successful, as many as 75 e-scooters will be available to hire from Beryl bays on the island from November. Beryl says its innovative hybrid parking model, which encourages riders to park in geo-fenced bays, will provide residents and visitors with sustainable and affordable transport that does not impede on the island's social infrastructure. The e-scooter pilot programme requires no direct funding from the Isle of Wight Council and is the first of many trials planned by Solent Transport. Beryl and the Isle of Wight Council hope the introduction of the e-scooter hire scheme will encourage a switch to a greener mode of transport for shorter journeys. E-scooters cannot currently be used legally in the UK except on private land, but confirmation of the trial by the Department for Transport would trigger legislation meaning e-scooters hired from the approved operator could be used in the designated trial area only. Beryl Chief Executive Philip Ellis said, "The Isle of Wight is a fantastic place to host these e-scooter trials, and Beryl is excited to give the island an opportunity to play a leading role in transforming how the UK travels in a greener and safer way post-COVID-19. Councillor Ian Ward said, "E-scooters could help the island not only as we emerge from this pandemic, but as we look to tackle climate change by offering a greener and healthier alternative to the car for many journeys." Beryl e-scooters, which will be able to be hired through the Beryl app and in the future through a Solent Go Solent Wight Smart Card and Travel app, will only be legally allowed on the road and cycle lanes, not on pavements. They must be picked up from and parked at a network of specially marked Beryl bays located on the street and in the Beryl app. Users will be required to provide a valid UK driving licence, while all of Beryl's e-scooters have a speed cap of 12.5 miles per hour and can be restricted by the operator where lower speeds are deemed necessary.
This is Brian reading an article from the Isle of Wight County Press. Top-end housing boom for Isle of Wight post-COVID. The Isle of Wight is becoming one of the most sought-after places to live in the UK following the coronavirus outbreak. With large numbers of people managing to work from home, many are looking to move into more rural areas for a taste of the good life. Home buyers seeking a lifestyle change are looking at the in-demand countryside market. The Isle of Wight is ranked 9th in the list of most desirable places, which has seen prices rising and a 25% increase in sales agreed compared to the same time period last year. Analysis from Zoopla found Rydale was the rural area with the highest boost in sales agreed, followed by Herefordshire, Sevenoaks, High Peak, Cotswold District, North Devon, Breckland, Malvern Hills and the Isle of Wight, which was in joint 9th place with Horsham. The average price of a 3-bedroom semi-detached house on the island is now $232,000 compared to $405,000 in Horsham, making the Isle of Wight a cheaper alternative. Island prices are also £60,000 cheaper than an equivalent property in nearby Portsmouth. Mark Rhodes of Hose Roads Dixon said the trend is seeing people relocating from London, and most are not just buying a second home but actually moving here. He said, "We are already forecasting that in the next 10 years, by 2030, more people would be working from home and moving to areas such as the island to live." But 2020 brought about a year none of us could see happening. What we thought would happen in 10 years has happened in one. People living in the commuter belt and paying £8,000 a year for a rail ticket are now finding they only have to go into the office for the odd meeting, or they live in a £1 million flat in the concrete jungle in the middle of London. They can see a different lifestyle on the Isle of Wight, and they are also attracted by us having a low COVID rate. House prices are going up, particularly at the top end of the market, not so much for 3-bedroom houses on estates. What is interesting is how it could change the island. How many people on the island currently earn £100,000 a year? But the people moving here do. Will this be noticed by the furniture retailers, the car dealerships, the sales of luxury goods like ribs and hot tubs? It could be good news for a lot of businesses. Perhaps the island doesn't have to have a low-wage economy if we can get more money into it. Keith Trigg of Trigg & Co. agreed that people are reappraising their lifestyle, location and property requirements in the wake of COVID. His office has found that those living in the city or a busy environment are becoming attracted to more rural environments with cleaner air and larger gardens. They have found the top end of the market and the second home market are selling well. One Isle of Wight property developer agreed. Surprisingly, we had no problem selling some very desirable properties since lockdown began. We had several viewings, but the majority, if not the entirety, of interest came from the mainland. Recently, the sales have come from mainland purchasers looking for second homes who are ready to move quickly and have no chain, with cash at the ready. Halifax, Rightmove and Zoopla have all reported rising house prices. However, this is likely to dismay those trying to get a foot on the ladder. MP Bob Seeley has raised with government the difficulty of young islanders being able to afford housing here, and said in Parliament earlier this month, housing demand in my patch is driven by the migration of retirees. A survey of more than 1,000 Londoners found that 55% of 18 to 34-year-olds are more likely to move to the countryside as a result of the pandemic. The survey, commissioned by the Country Land and Business Association, showed a growing number of young people considering leaving the capital in favour of a more rural area. Lancaster's estate agent said 84% of our buyers from July to October this year were mainland based at the point of offering, an increase from 78% for the same period last year. The big difference this year is the number of mainland London buyers intending to use the properties as their main homes rather than second homes in previous years.
Yarmouth doctor's surgery to close for good. Another GP surgery on the Isle of Wight is set to close as doctors propose to turn it into a house. Yarmouth Surgery on Station Road, part of the West Wight Medical Practice, is believed to be closed as work needed to upgrade the practice and bring it up to current medical standards will not be funded by the NHS Isle of Wight Clinical Commissioning Group, according to the retired doctors who own the surgery. The doctors are looking to sell the building and turn it into a 3-bed residential property as it used to be before it became the general practice. An application submitted by Dr. Gordon Walker was the first news some local residents heard of the closure. In planning documents submitted to the Isle of Wight Council's planning portal, Dr. Walker said due to the expansion of the Brookside Health Centre in Freshwater, the other half of West Wight medical practice, there would be enough clinical capacity to deal with additional demand coming from Yarmouth. He said, "The closure is entirely supported by the WWMP, which finds it very difficult to recruit doctors and would find it easier to provide general medical services to the West Wight population from one site, as it has been encouraged to do by NHS England. At times, Yarmouth surgery would close so staff could help provide safer support at the Freshwater site and has been closed since the COVID lockdown started." Managing Director of the Isle of Wight CCG, Alison Smith, said the decision was made because the Yarmouth surgery was a small former residential property not inspected by the Care Quality Commission, and with narrow parts it was not possible to keep patient safety distance under the COVID guidelines. She said, "The temporary closure allowed the practice to provide a clinical, safe and resident service in Brookside surgery. Having a greater pool of GPs, clinical staff and admin staff on one site meant the surgery was able to continue providing services throughout the pandemic. Now that the landlords have sought to change the use of Yarmouth surgery site and knowing the site is not COVID safe, the CCG and practice will begin to consider the options for those patients who previously used the Yarmouth branch surgery. This will include a programme of engagement with patients and the community regarding the future provision, whilst recognising the branch surgery will remain closed as we continue to respond and see patients safely and with the required safe distance and infection protection measures at the Brookside surgery." In a letter submitted as part of the planning documents, Clive Oliver, Managing Director of Wight Primary Partnerships, told Dr. Walker they accepted primary care services would stop at the surgery because they could not purchase the property as it would be a huge and unsustainable financial drain on the practice. Yarmouth Town Council has submitted an objection to the application as they said it represents the loss of an important facility for Yarmouth and the West Wight. Steve Cowley, Mayor of Yarmouth, said the town had fought to save the surgery before, but when he said he had tried to contact the surgery this time around, he had no response by email or by phone.
This is Chris reading an article from the Isle of Wight County Press. Royal Mail postmen and women will pick up parcels from the doorsteps of people's homes across the UK as the company tries to grab a bigger share of the booming parcel market. Households that have packages they need to send will be able to do so without leaving home for a 72p charge per parcel, Royal Mail said. The parcels can weigh up to 20 kilograms and can be a little over twice the size of most airplane hand luggage, 61 centimetres by 46 centimetres by 46 centimetres. It was hailed by the Postal Service as one of the biggest changes to the daily delivery since the launch of the postbox in 1852. The company has been testing its system in the west of England, but will now roll it out nationwide, including the Isle of Wight. Royal Mail Parcel Collect is a fantastic step forward for all of our customers. It makes it easier to use our services than ever before, said Royal Mail Chief Commercial Officer Nick Landon. Customers will be able to get their parcels collected every day apart from Sundays. Prepaid return packages can be collected for 60p per item. Returns have become an increasingly important market for the postal system in recent years, as online shoppers want the chance to change the items they bought. Royal Mail has been forced to rely increasingly on parcels as letters drop in importance with the advent of email. Since 2004, the number of letters it delivers has halved. This year has been particularly harsh. In the 3 months to the end of June, the company delivered 788 million fewer letters than the same period the year before, down 33%. Meanwhile, parcel volumes have increased greatly.
This is Howard reading an article from the Isle of Wight County Press. Oh yes, we will. That was the very determined message from Spotlight Isle of Wight and Shanklin Theatre as they announced plans to perform pantomime this Christmas against the odds. Spotlight, the resident theatre group at Shanklin, will perform Rapunzel to a socially distanced audience. Vic Farrow of Shanklin Theatre said, "We wanted to provide some live entertainment during this time when there's so little of it about, and provide a lift during the Christmas period." Spotlight said, "We've been searching for a little happiness in 2020, and we think we've found the answer. We're so excited to be sharing this news. It's not Christmas without a pantomime. Oh no, it isn't." The show will open on December 19th and will run until January 3rd. All tickets are £16.50, apart from a relaxed performance, which will be priced at £12. Tickets will be on sale from Friday, November 6th. Book on 868 000 or via www.shanklintheatre.com.
Alison reading an article from the Isle of Wight radio entitled NHS Advice if you experience mental health crisis on the Isle of Wight. If you're an islander experiencing a mental health crisis, you should either call 111 or go online. It comes as the Isle of Wight NHS Trust launches its new 5-year strategy aimed at improving the quality, experiences and outcomes of mental health services on the island. The NHS Trust says it is not going to be providing purpose-built mental health centres. Instead, it will use primary care services. The Isle of Wight NHS Trust launched its mental health crisis support website during lockdown to support islanders, and Isle of Wight Radio has been told it will continue indefinitely. If you make the call to 111, the Hampshire and Isle of Wight wide service will ensure a mental health nurse answers who can access the island health system so they can offer you tailored support. Director of Mental Health and Learning Disabilities, Dr. Leslie Stevens, says, "It's a really good service." She said, "It depends, as there is never going to be a one-size-fits-all, but for everybody we now have access through 111 to really great mental health support over the telephone. That's something we put in place through lockdown and will continue indefinitely. If you dial 111 and you have a mental health problem, you will be put through to a senior, very experienced mental health nurse. And we have seen that that's had a real impact for people in reducing the people that need to come into A&E, for example, which is not a good place for someone in a mental health crisis." The Isle of Wight NHS Trust's Mental Health Crisis website has a consistent level of around 250 to 300 islanders visiting it each day. According to the Trust, the next stage of the development will be to make it more interactive. The upgrades to the website are expected to be rolled out from April. Dr. Leslie Stevens added, "Some people are perfectly comfortable to pick up the phone and talk about it, and others are simply not, and we obviously have to be very sensitive to the impact of the mental health problem on people's ability to access, which is one of the reasons we're so focused on no wrong door and opening up access to people." The NHS Trust is working with people who use its services, staff, stakeholders in the public, community and voluntary sectors and its partner organisation, Solent NHS Trust, to develop the new 5-year strategy called the No Wrong Door model. It's understood the new model for local mental health and learning disabilities services will deliver an island-wide network of services made up of 3 elements. The local network will provide services for people with low complexity of need, which will be based and delivered in local areas alongside partners like GPs and community and voluntary sector organisations. The Island Hub will provide community mental health services that are coordinated centrally but delivered in local areas or as an island-wide service. The Island Hub will provide services for people with moderate and high complexity needs. The Acute Centre will provide support for the people with the most complex needs, and will be managed and delivered centrally from 7 acres in St Mary's Hospital in Newport.
This is Brian reading an article from On the Wight. Isle of Wight fire stations below standard of mainland due to lack of direct investment, report reveals. Much of the meeting was held in private, but not before it was revealed that due to lack of direct investment, the physical condition of Isle of Wight fire stations are considerably below the standard of those on the mainland. Lack of investment in fire stations on the Isle of Wight has meant the buildings are considerably below the standard of those in Hampshire. Part of a report was read out in a public meeting of the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Shadow Authority, revealing the state of the island's fire stations, a view the Fire Brigades Union agrees with. Councillors from both the Isle of Wight Council and Hampshire County Council did not comment and eventually held the rest of the meeting in private session, discussing improvements to the fire stations managed by the new Combined Fire Authority. The Combined Fire Authority, a coming together of the islands and Hampshire's fire and rescue services, is acting as a shadow form until April 2021, when it will take force. At the meeting, in a debate as to whether the councillors should head into private session, Hampshire's Councillor Jonathan Glenn explained why the report should be heard in private by reading in public session 2 points that highlighted the poor physical conditions of the island's fire buildings. He said, "The building's physical conditions are considerably below the standard of those on the mainland. This lack of direct investment over several years has led to a reduction in the standard of the physical built environment for which the fire service operates." Councillor Dave Stewart, leader of the Isle of Wight Council, who attended the meeting, voted for the rest of the report to be heard in private, but said he thought the information should be made public as soon as possible. Speaking after the meeting, Councillor Stewart said the operational response of both Hampshire and Isle of Wight firefighters had not been impacted by the issues with the island's fire stations. A wide-ranging station investment programme will start under the new Combined Fire Authority, which Councillor Stewart says the island will benefit from. Councillor Stewart said, while Hampshire does have some newer, comparatively modern stations, such as Basingstoke, which opened in 2018, it also has others which are more than 60 years old and scheduled to be rebuilt. The Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Service has prioritised its investments over recent years in state-of-the-art fire engines, specialist equipment which Hampshire has since adopted, and personal protective equipment. Spencer Cave, the Isle of Wight's Brigade Secretary for the Fire Brigade Union, said while he agreed appliances and special equipment had been invested in, with a new fire engine bought in 2017, the resources were committed to the service under the previous administration and not the current Conservative ruling party. Mr. Cave argued the Fire and Rescue Service has not been properly funded for at least 2 decades, with some projects not getting past the planning stage, promises falling flat, or only parts of stations getting upgraded but causing multiple issues. Newport Fire Station has had the shower area refurbished. Mr. Cave said the work cost in excess of £26,000, which has had to be revisited at least 3 times due to leaks and the poor quality of flooring. Mr. Cave said, "We understand central government has cut the cash to local councils under its austerity lie, and the council has very little resources, but it does waste so much money using one approved contractor. Retained duty system stations have had very little expenditure. Bembridge has had a leaking roof for at least 10 years. That is a health and safety hazard. East Cowes also has a leaking roof. The facilities on the retained duty system stations are not acceptable for a modern service and are like stepping back into the 60s. The current council has spent very little since the combined fire authority was announced, knowing the burden would be taken from them. The combined fire authority has said it will spend money on the estates, but we shall wait and see. In public consultation documents about the idea of a combined fire authority, it was said the current fire stations will require £2.3 million to keep the estate a safe place to work back in 2018.
This is Chris reading an article from BBC News. Unsuitable guide dogs set to detect COVID-19. 3 dogs found to be unsuitable as guide dogs for the blind have become the latest recruits for a trial to see whether dogs can detect coronavirus. The charity, Guide Dogs, has donated the animals to the Milton Keynes-based Medical Detection Dogs. If successful, the new recruits could be deployed as part of a trial to see if dogs could be used in public places to detect people with COVID-19. The 2-year-olds, Ivan, Maple and Spencer, were bred by the charity. Ivan and Spencer are both Labrador Golden Retriever crosses, and Maple is a Labradoodle. Chris Allen, Medical Detection Dogs Training Manager, said, "We're incredibly grateful to Guide Dogs for giving us these 3 fantastic dogs. Growing up as guide dog puppies, they've already had lots of experience being out and about in busy public places. The dogs thoroughly enjoy working. It's a big game. We're using their willingness to please, their drive, their wanting to use their nose, and shaping and redirecting it in a positive way." Tim Stafford, Director of Canine Affairs at Guide Dogs, said, "Guide Dogs is delighted to be able to support medical detection dogs and collaborate in the fight against COVID-19 with this groundbreaking work." The trial, backed by £500,000 of government funding, involves scientists from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine and Durham University. In July, the BBC reported a trial of 6 dogs to detect coronavirus by medical detection dogs. Dr. Claire Guest, the charity's co-founder and chief executive, started training dogs to detect cancer in 2002 and set up the charity in 2008. A year later, her fox red Labrador Daisy, trained to detect bladder and prostate cancer, started pawing at her chest. Doctors discovered she had a breast cancer tumour so deep it would have been very hard to detect had she not been alerted.
This is an article from the Island Observer, read by Terry. New rail card for veterans. Military veterans of every generation can now benefit from cut-price rail travel, with Captain Sir Thomas Moore presented with the very first veteran rail card. The new rail card will provide up to 1/3 off all peak and off-peak fares, with discounted travel for an adult and children travelling with the cardholder. The card pays tribute to the Royal Navy, RAF and Army, using the colours featured on the veterans' flag. An estimated 830,000 veterans not eligible for existing rail cards will be able to get up to a third off rail travel from November the 5th, with an introductory price until March the 31st of £21 for 1 year or £61 for a 3-year card. Councillor Ian Ward, the Isle of Wight Council Veterans Champion, said, "As a veteran myself, I am always pleased to see schemes that recognise veterans and the contribution that they and other people have made to our community and country."
Hello, this is Steve reading a story from the Island Echo, headlined "Cowes Floating Bridge Back in Action After 14-week Suspension of Service." The Cowes Floating Bridge has successfully resumed operations today, written on Tuesday, after some 14 weeks out of service. It was initially planned that the troubled vessel would be out of the water for less than 2 weeks back in July to enable maintenance work to take place. However, significant issues were discovered, and Floating Bridge number 6 has been out of action ever since. Now, after an overhaul of the hydraulic system, the floating bridge is back in service between East and West Cowes. Operations restarted at 5 AM on Tuesday. A tugboat used to push the floating bridge into position is still being used, at significant cost. The town of East Cowes last month said enough is enough and called for heads to roll over the floating bridge fiasco. The Isle of Wight Council is said to be taking preemptive steps towards legal action, and are in talks with the designer and builder of the vessel to remedy all of the issues caused.
This is Howard reading an article from On the Wight concerning NHS Trust Sites. This stopover Isle of Wight NHS Trust is stepping up support for staff and people who use their services who want to quit smoking ahead of going completely smoke-free across all sites. The Isle of Wight NHS Trust's mental health and learning disability sites are going completely smoke-free from the beginning of November. These sites will join St Mary's Hospital's main site, which is already completely smoke-free. The mental health and learning disabilities buildings are already smoke-free. However, as part of the commitment to improving the health and well-being of people who use NHS services, visitors and staff, all the exterior environments will also be going smoke-free. This means that from November, anyone visiting any of the Isle of Wight NHS Trust sites will not be permitted to smoke. The Trust cares for people across the island with mental health problems and learning disabilities at several venues, including 7 Acres and Chantry House in Newport and Woodlands in Wootton. People with mental health problems tend to smoke more than other people, start smoking earlier, and find quitting challenging. This means they're more vulnerable to the harmful effects of smoking, leading to poorer physical health, with chronic cardiovascular and lung disease, and can significantly lower life expectancy by up to 2 decades. Oliver Kramer, Divisional Clinical Director, Mental Health and Learning Disabilities, said, "Creating a smoke-free environment at our sites is more important than ever. We're going smoke-free to protect people against the proven health risks of smoking and second-hand smoke, including evidence so far that suggests increased mortality rates for those who smoke and contract COVID-19. Many people think that smoking helps them relax, but smoking actually increases feelings of anxiety and tension. Studies have shown that stopping smoking can improve people's mood and help relieve stress, anxiety, and depression. It's our duty of care to provide a safe and healthy environment for all people on our sites who are receiving treatment and to provide support for them and staff who want to quit smoking. The Smoke-Free program will be supported by Smoke-Free champions who will undertake quit smoking training, including specialist training to help support those people who use our mental health and disability services. They will help people manage their cravings and to stay smoke-free while in hospital by offering them nicotine replacement therapies such as patches, gums, or lozenges. People will be allowed to vape and use e-cigarettes from a range of approved brands in designated areas. Vaping is considered to be significantly less harmful than continuing to smoke and is a popular quitting aid. There'll also be support available to those who want to quit smoking for good. The Trust is asking for the public's support in keeping the site smoke-free from November. Beverly Fryer, Head of Nursing for Mental Health and Learning Disabilities Services, said, "If you're visiting someone in one of our hospitals, please help us by not bringing any cigarettes, tobacco products or lighters to the wards. People receiving treatment from the Trust at home or in the community setting will be expected to provide a smoke-free environment for staff visiting them." The Trust has encouraged staff during the month of #Stoptober to access support to quit smoking at a series of drop-in sessions to enable them to sign up to a quit smoking program. Smoking tobacco damages the lungs, weakens the immune system, and causes a range of severe respiratory problems. Quitting smoking quickly improves circulation and breathing, helps to reduce the risk of other health conditions such as heart attacks and strokes, and developing severe complications of coronavirus at a time when the NHS is coming under strain from the pandemic. Once someone is smoke-free, there are health benefits straight away, with the body continuing to repair the longer you stay smoke-free. The immediate benefits include, after 20 minutes, your blood pressure and heart rate return to normal. After 48 hours, carbon monoxide is eliminated from the body. Your lungs are clearing out mucus, and your sense of taste and smell are improving. After 72 hours, breathing becomes easier, boosting your energy levels, so bronchial tubes begin to relax. After 2 weeks to 3 months, lung function and blood circulation start to improve, making physical activity like walking and running easier. After 3 to 9 months, any coughs, wheezing, or breathing problems will be improving as your lung function increases. Did you know you're 4 times more likely to quit smoking successfully with expert support? Self-referrals for stop smoking support can be made by emailing iwwellbeingservice@iow.gov.uk or calling 01983 823 670. You will be asked to leave your name and contact details. This can be your phone number or email address, and for the best time to contact you. Please leave a message, and the Isle of Wight Wellbeing Service will get back to you within 5 working days to discuss how we can help you.
This is an article from the Island Observer, read by Terry. Awards presented by the Isle of Wight High Sheriff, Mrs. Caroline Peel. The island's High Sheriff, Mrs. Caroline Peel, spent Wednesday and Thursday this week out and about presenting High Sheriff's Community Awards to island shopkeepers who have gone the extra mile to serve the community during the COVID-19 lockdown. Awards were presented to Bembridge Farm Shop, St Lawrence Post Office, Bryston Stores, Gurnard Nisa and Rashley's in Cowes. Mrs Peel said, "I felt that it was so important that those members of the community who had gone the extra mile to help their customers, both regular and occasional, should be recognised for their achievement. All have been wonderful and set about the Herculean task of keeping the show on the road with charm and good humour. However, there may be more awards on the way. As Mrs Peel said, she would like very much to hear from Isle of Wight Observer readers of other examples of businesses that have gone above and beyond what might be expected of them during the pandemic. You can make a nomination by emailing iwhighsheriff, all one word, and just in case you're not sure, sheriff has got 1 R and 2 F's in it, so that was iwhighsheriff@gmail.com.
Hello, this is Lisa, CEO of Site for Wight. With half-term having started on the island this week, it's nice to see the sun and people out before the clocks go back this weekend. It is also good to see that people are, in the most, adhering to social distancing and their pods of 6. Please remember, if wearing a face mask causes you severe stress, for example by further impeding your sight or the functionality of any hearing aids, you can call us and we can send you a lanyard and badge to help give other people the information about your situation. These lanyards and badges are free of charge, and all we ask is you only wear one if you genuinely believe you're entitled to do so. We are busy looking into the history books also to find out as much as we can about the history of the charity, as the 125-year anniversary is this November. If anyone has any information they could share with us, please do not hesitate to give us a call. And finally, my usual reminder, we are here for you. If you need anything at all, never hesitate to call and we will help as much as we can. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening for the Talking News. Lisa.
This is just a reminder we are selling Christmas cards this year in aid of Sight for Wight at £3 per pack of 10. We have 4 designs and each card carries our logo inside. Designs are jolly snowmen, a robin on a holly bush, a dove over Bethlehem, and finally a village choir outside a church. If you would like to place an order, please call 522205. The closing date has been extended to Friday the 30th of October to place orders.
A Sight for Wight volunteer has made face masks. They are for sale in Dress for Less, Lower St James Street, Newport. The face masks are £5 each, and there are 2 designs. Call Dress for Less on 523 197 for more information.
Tickets are selling fast for our big Christmas raffle. This year, as part of our 125 years celebrations, we are giving a first prize of £125 cash, and in total 125 prizes. So, if you would like to buy a ticket to be in with a chance of winning one of our fabulous prizes, they are available at our Dress for Less shop in Lower St James's Street, Newport, or by calling the office on 522205. The draw takes place on Monday, the 7th of December, so there is still plenty of time to purchase them.
This is Sue reading the scaffolding news for week commencing 26th of October 2020. Newport area, the Masonic Lodge, Lugley Street, 10A Lugley Street, 21 and 22 High Street, Halifax High Street. Ventnor area, 56 South Street, 32 South Street, South View Grove Road, 95 High Street, 1 Pier Street. Shanklin, Corinthian Court North Road, 95 to 97 High Street, 9 Landguard Road, 2 Sind Crescent, Lloyds Bank High Street. Totland area, Vectis House Ward Road. Sandown area, 20 High Street, Wight City Culver Parade, 42A Fitzroy Street, 2 Pier Street, 1 New Road Brading, 65 High Street Brading. Ryde area, 23 St John's Road, 168A High Street, 44 Union Street. Yarmouth area, Saxonbury St James's Street, Pharmacy Key Road. Cowes area, NatWest Bank High Street, Rope Walk Langley Road, 106 Park Road. This is the Skip News for week commencing October the 26th, 2020. Cowes area, 72 High Street, Plot, Shaw Road, Gurnard, 12 Stanley Road. Yarmouth area, Loveshaw House High Street. Bembridge area, Parking Bay outside of 99 Downsview Road, St Helens. Ride area, 51 Alfred Street, Beardstalls 2 High Street, 9 Millward Road. East Cowes area, 63 Grange Road.
This is a reminder for you all, read by Terry. Remember, clocks to go back 1 hour at 2 a.m. on Sunday, October the 25th, British summertime. BST comes to an end then. Don't forget to put your clocks back an hour as we go back to observing Greenwich Mean Time, GMT.
Sight for Wight would like to thank you for listening to this week's edition of the Talking News. We would also like to thank our volunteers for reading, and a particular thank you to the Isle of Wight County Press, Isle of Wight Observer, On the Wight, Island Echo and Isle of Wight Radio. A special thank you must go to Vectis Radio, who has helped us get vital information to our members. Goodbye for now.